Let's take the following scenario. You're playing with the white pieces, attacking, considering which pawn to push. Of course, you have gone g5 in the past, allowing a powerful blockade. So now you know to avoid it. And you go for the right one. h5. Now your opponent hits with the somewhat surprising pawn capture. White to play. I want you to think about this position and just pretty much go for the reflex move. What would you play in an actual game without knowing that this is an exercise? Because from my experience, and to be more specific, according to the Leech's statistics, about only 2 out of 10 players know the right move, which in fact is a simple fundamental combo that can totally skyrocket your win rate in these type of positions against the fianchetto. Now, to not let you boiling there, the key idea is not to recapture, which is what most people do. And from my experience coaching 1000 Elo players, this is what I see most of the times. But to instead push. Hit the knight will have to move away. No matter where it goes, it's gonna leave the pawn unprotected, which can be captured immediately or can be attacked furthermore with a preparatory move, giving you a much easier entry towards the enemy king. Now, I wanted to point out a pretty interesting phenomenon that happens when you try to take a look at this position with a chess engine. So, when we toggle stockfish, we will see that you can pretty much play whatever. Any continuation out of the top 3 leads to a +3 advantage. g5 as the top line, but very closely you can see the pawn capture. So if stockfish values them the same, does it really make a difference? Well, let's take a look at the recent specific example that I've had in my game. Because the difference was my queen suddenly is on h6 after my opponent decided to trade bishops. So when I pushed, he went for the greedy grab. And let's check it out. g5 +6 advantage. +6. That is worth 6 extra pawns for white in this position after g5. What if you play what it seems like a normal move that Stockfish recommended in the previous position? Oh, GH. Barely better. Less than a 1 point advantage. This is simply the risk that you're running by not following simple fundamental combos. During my playing career, I believe I had this same situation hundreds of times, and I gotta say, pushing the pawn hasn't let me down a single time. To put it in better perspective, I believe that the number of wins that I've got with this move is higher than the number of times I ever got friend zoned, which is quite self-explanatory. So the main reason why I'm hyping this whole thing up and why it's important for you to understand it is because no matter what opening you play really with the white pieces, your opponent is gonna go for a fianchetto setup once every 5 games on average. So whenever they do that, you can play what I'm about to show you into the next game. Welcome back, everybody. I just had a protein bar, so I'm feeling pretty pumped. How many elo points do you think you're gonna gain by eating a protein bar before the session? We need a study on that. So scientists, pay attention. Now, I'm gonna be honest, I was kind of cheating on this opening recently. I've been experimenting with a lot of other stuff just to get a feel for different positions and ideas, but now we're back home with the Jobava London, and my opponent goes for a fianchetto setup. Fianchetto setup, he already makes, just a game-losing mistake. He allows e5, so I can play e5 and really get close to winning game, because knight h5, g4 wins a piece, and he has to play the sad knight g8. However, for instructive purposes, I'm gonna play f3. So, whenever you are trying to get the Jobava London, you will need your opponent to step in the center to play the move d5. And then, once the pawn is on d5, we play bishop f4, and all the good stuff, all the hippie capybaras enter the field. Now, when they don't, we gotta adapt. The human is an adaptable animal. So, we're gonna go e4, grab the center, and then I recommend you always do this f3, setting up bishop e3, so no more knight g4 hitting it. And the plan is to go queen d2, long castle, and pretty much take it from there. I have to say, my opponent is a primitive Pirc player because he went for the quick castle. If he was a more, let's say, subtle Pirc player, he could have played d6, bishop e3, and then waited with a move like c6, for instance. This is kind of like a waiting game, not rushing with the king's possession, since after f3 white shows aggressive intentions. It's also possible for black to completely delay the bishop g7 move, which makes this future idea of going bishop h6 less effective when the bishop is on f8. But I mean, for the most part, whenever you're playing this with the white pieces, you are gonna face the primitive Pirc player, not the subtle guys. And b6 already horrific move again. I mean, it's just not really much to add. The opponent is playing a hippo setup, but the hippo setup is just gonna get steamrolled on the king side. So my plan is gonna be very simple. I wanna put bishop in his throat, go h4, h5, open up the file, trade bishops, bring queen, and then I need to look for ways to make progress on h7. Now, in the meantime, right, like that's what I keep in the back of my mind as the plan. But just doesn't work like this. We also have to keep an eye on what our opponent is doing. So in the meantime, I'm gonna be very ready, and this is important because that's how most people get it wrong. You wanna watch out for any central pushes, and whenever it happens, you wanna sidestep, you don't wanna ignore it. So check this out. Bishop h6. I know I wanna do h4, h5, but when this happens, this little move, now I'm gonna go d5. Alternatively, dc5. It's a good move to keep up the tempo, but it's easier if you just remember the sidestep. And he goes a6, but this plan is too slow. And now I'm gonna go h4, h5. Very important, I'm not gonna be rushing with the trade. Why are we not rushing with the trade? Because it's very important. By placing the bishop on h6, I'm blocking this pawn. It's a very important little nuance. I am blocking it because I want to go h4, h5. So if I were to trade and then go h4, Now opponent can play h5 himself, and that would kind of slow things down dramatically. So I want to go h4, h5, while I'm not giving him opportunity to breathe, pretty much. I want to go h5. See? And now knight takes on h5, already losing move. But simultaneously, okay, I'm not like simply looking on this side of the board. I know I want to do something over there. This is how, let's say, newer players tend to have their board vision structured. No, you want to look on the whole board, specifically what he did with his last move. So b4, I'm going to move the knight. By elimination, don't put knight on the side. It becomes vulnerable. Also, knight on b1 is playable, but looks a bit artificial. So, knight to e2, the lesser evil. And just his pawn push is going to be super slow. Okay, a5, a4, maybe I can give him that. Still, he's not going to have an obvious threat because the difference between our attacks is that his pawns are not backed up by pieces. So you're not going to get mated by pawns only, hopefully. Now, okay, he does go for the trade himself. Keep in mind, after knight takes on h5, there are two ways of continuing this. There's the immediate rook takes on h5 and then queen g5, which surprisingly is a straight up checkmate on g7. But players tend to rely on that idea too much. What it's important to understand is that after knight takes on h5, I can just play this as a gambit. I can go g4, knight f6, and then trade. So the important idea is to understand that in this position, it would be much rather, I'd much rather prefer to completely remove the h-pawn of the board. Even though I'm down a pawn, that would be an advantage to us because it would give a rook connection to the enemy king. So I'm not worried about losing a pawn. I just want to open up lines for my rook. And now I have to play the simple recap. And we're getting pretty close to the attack. We're getting in the zone. Now, knight to d7. Okay, how do we continue this? So we'll need an extra piece attacking h7. Normally, that happens with knight h3, knight g5. And then I take, and then I take. Now, I can also consider g4, g5. And then after knight takes on h5, many moves. Maybe just knight g3. Okay, so let's think about this more like, okay, g4, knight e5 he'll play. I do g5, he's gonna do knight takes. I can go knight f4. Looks busted, honestly. Yeah, I'm just going for that, g4. The slower move, knight h3, knight g5, felt good as well. But all the pieces are coming together. And also what is important, I forgot to mention this earlier. While you're playing this English attack scheme, you don't need to rush with developing these pieces. Just because they don't have any good squares, it doesn't mean you need to develop them for the sake of developing. Just to be a good sheep. Now, what it's more important to understand than that is with the last move. We have just gotten ourselves into the V-pawn structure. It is V from victory. You know that by definition, according to me at least, this will be a forced win. And this is my favorite trick. Okay, so he took. Now, pause the video. Important detail. White to play. Only one good move. And it's not the obvious one. Because the reflex play would be to go GH. But then you know it's not going to be that easy to break through. So you want to remember this combo, G takes, G5. So I don't recap, I push. Which is going to put me in a situation where I will recapture and I keep the file open. And also I keep my pawns together pretty much. And my opponent's weaknesses are going to be easier to attack. So now he just has to play this desperate move. King AJ duck the king, but he's playing down a piece, so needless to say, this game is over. I'll just have to convert it in the due time. Yeah, I'll take. And I think I'm gonna go for the simple knight f4, knight takes on h5. Arguably knight h3, knight g5 could be considered, but I'm just gonna go for the simple play. Let's see if we can win a game by not touching these pieces. That would be funny. Although I need to watch out for something maybe. Rook g8, I take. Yeah, so I take rook g6, it's a little bit annoying. Because if I go queen e... Oh, I have queen e3 and I'm protecting the knight. Yes, that's important. So rook g6, I need this move protecting the knight. So I keep the extra piece. Pretty sure. Just by how winning this position looks, I had many alternatives to sacrifice back the piece and still keep huge advantage, but queen e3 is quite nice. Yes, so queen e3. Now I'm gonna trade knights. The rest should be smooth sailing. Pretty much. Pretty much. Okay, just easy game. Very easy game. I just need to not lose on time. But games of this elo should not be this easy. That is my point. But you know, this may happen when you're playing the best opening available to mankind. Or at least you're trying to play the Jobava London and you end up going for the English attack. Knight h3, knight f4. Incoming, activating the knight. Okay, putting some pressure. At this point, I don't really need to play for a checkmate, although a checkmate would be nice. I'm happy to just start exchanging the pieces and play an endgame with an extra piece. By the way, this bishop. What is this guy up to? The bishop is kind of passive. Okay, so bishop h3 may be better. I think I'm just gonna play it like that, but I'm not gonna rush to put it there because of rook f5. So I'll have to move my queen one step, play bishop f5, and then it's gonna be too big of an attack, so expecting him to trade. 1 minute left. Okay, so f5, giving me the bait. I'm not gonna take the bait. I was not born yesterday. I'm gonna go rook g1. Maybe I look like that, but no. I wasn't born yesterday. I'm not gonna go for the fake free cheese. I know what free cheese looks like, and that's not it. Sneaky trap. Never too late to mess up the good play. Aha. He takes, but I feel like we should have some tactics. Can I go bishop f? Now he cannot take anymore. Okay, I'm gonna go for it. My calculation is rusty, but this looks good. It looks pretty good. Calculation pretty rusty. I mean, he cannot take anymore because of the pin, so I am putting pressure. And I am now also setting up a surprise idea. Okay, not anymore. So take. He has to play queen f8. But then I just return with the rook? Question mark. That should be enough. He's playing down a bishop, really. And he's also not having a knight. He's playing knightless. He is really playing knightless. h6, now the question is, what is the fastest combo? I have knight g6 takes. I really wish I could calculate precisely, but... Okay, I think I'm going for it. It has to be good. So check. If I had like 2 minutes on the clock to work this out, maybe it was easy. But I mean, I do have checks everywhere, so that kind of helps. So the king is gonna be caught in a box. Bishop c8, I have mate, so this, that, queen e7. I'm pretty sure I'm missing a quicker mate. I'm gonna take the queen and yeah, I am missing the mate for sure. I'm gonna go bishop e6 next and force him to give up the rook. I hate this part. Why do we have to play this out? Just give me the win. Herman Vicky. No need to do this, brother. Okay. That is on the radar. Good old Alex Banzea should be in time. Should be in time with the finish. Can we finish? I'd be really pissed if I cannot finish. After such a game, that'd be embarrassing. I think it would be the best played game in history that didn't end in a win. Although, there could arguably be better references for that. I can just instantly recall a game that I messed up in one of the previous videos, of course. I still won it. Okay, so he's gonna do that move. Give me the second queen. What am I doing? What on earth am I doing? Oh no, he's really gonna test me. No, he's testing me. 3 seconds. Okay. I'll bring the king. Why it's taking so long and it's so stressful. Truly unnecessary. Yeah, I'm just starting to see ghosts now, but there's no way I'm stalemating. I'll put king on b5 and then queen on e7 and it should be forced mate. Queen e8 is forced mate. Okay. Damn. That took a little bit more than I wanted. Now, the fianchero part of the video is over, but don't go anywhere because into the following game, I'm gonna be showing pretty much one of my most recent discoveries into the Jobava London. But until that, you have earned a well-deserved capybara break. Hey, welcome back everybody. We're getting a 2100 opponent, Peter from Egypt. That is, well, playing d5. So that is some good news right there. Whenever your opponent plays pawn to d5, you're going to be able to play Jobava London. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go knight c3 and then bishop to f4, getting the starting position of the Jobava London. And the way we're going to do this is No need to go for knight to b5. It's, let's say, the more ambitious move from a theoretical perspective is just that for players below 2000 elo, I highly advise to play it the least, the better. Let's say the lesser time, the better, because this opening, it's not just a gimmick where you want to go for a trick, hope that your opponent doesn't defend the fork, and then you magically win. No, it's actually much more rich in terms of strategic ideas. So we're gonna try to uncork some of those. Hopefully, we're gonna see bishop b4. I know you guys don't like to face bishop b4 kind of move, and starts with a6. So if he really wanted to play that move, it makes a bit more sense to do it earlier. Although his move order was kind of strange because we had this e6 very early. People tend to play knight f6 and be more flexible, do bishop f4, a6, stop the knight jumps. But no need to go into super deep theoretical talk right there. What is important to remember though is you do e3 first and then bishop before the knight. So the g1 knight develops last. You wanna remember the key move order. Bishop d3, knight f3. Then castle short. Wow, opponent plays knight bd7. That's a very good move. I'm afraid now. Knight d7 is a very clever idea. He might be willing to do c5. So what makes c5 special compared to one move ago? Against c5, I'm very happy to take because he's forced to recapture with a bishop. Otherwise, I play b4 and keep the pawn. And after bishop takes, we have very easy play. We go knight f3 castle and e4 break. But when he does the knight move, if I just do the same, I go knight f3. He pushes, I take. And now he wants to capture it with a knight. And then I don't have an alternative square for the bishop, so that's actually quite annoying to deal with. If black gets that position, they instantly equalize and it's not so easy to play as white. Therefore, interesting alternative, I can do knight e2. So I think I'm gonna go for it, just to be in time, play c5, c3. And this knight goes to g3, then another knight goes to f3. And we get a pretty nice twist of the London system. So even though it started as a Jobava, if it goes in that direction, which most likely will, we're gonna get the typical London system pawn pyramid. It's just that, okay, I think I'm starting knight g3 to stop that, although it's not really such a problem. We're gonna get a pawn pyramid, but in London system, you never have such a knight on g3, which is the interesting twist I was referring to. So kind of bringing some life to well-established path. Already very little games with this position. If you look at it in the database with what we have on the board, probably not more than 10 games have been played in the history of the game. Do you understand how fresh this is? This is just out of the oven. It's hot. It's already burning on the board. Bishop c2, and my opponent committed to this early c4 move, which normally they end up playing for quick b5, b4. I had this structure quite a lot, even though this is very new. New for my opponents. I've been playing this a lot. I've been looking for ways to develop this opening, and I feel like this is a very rich direction that solves one of the problems, which is this knight d7 c5 idea. And okay, he's going for g5, and I was about to play this move anyways. It's this h4. Ooh. I don't recommend to play like this for low elo players, but the game is just going into such a theoretical territory. I just cannot avoid it, cannot go into any other direction. So hopefully the lower elo guys watching this won't be too upset, but I gotta remain realistic and say that you're probably not gonna have this in one of your games. Uh, if you're like below 3000 elo. Now, queen to b6. Opponent goes for the target. I mean, we have simple defense. Queen b6, bit of a strategic mistake because queen is blocking the path of his pawns. But yeah, maybe it was connected with this bishop d6. I'm not gonna go for the trade. I'm still very happy to get into the boa snake. This is what I like to call the doubled f pawn structure in the Jobava. And it's just a bishop difference pretty much. Bishop difference and better control over the center. Yeah, just okay, queen to d6, attacking the pawn. Will be met with the natural knight e5. Also have queen d2 idea to defend, but simple move knight e5 should be pretty good. Do I want to rush with knight e5? It's just too natural not to play. Alternatively, queen d2, short castle and f5 push could be playable in the long run as an alternative, but I'm just gonna go for knight e5 right away. And one of the thematic ideas would be, okay, he delays castling, but normally castle, you wanna play rook h3, knight h5, and then rook g3. It's one of the possible plays. But yeah, looks like he's delaying it, so opponent might be heading towards that direction, although f7 needs to be protected beforehand. So how do I play this? Do I still go knight h5? Is this opening so simple? You just play the same move all the time? Or do I go for something different? Ideally, I would like to play for castle and then f5 break. But not entirely sure I have enough protection over e5. Also, knight h5. Can he comfortably defend? Maybe just rook g8. I don't like knight h5. It has a bit of artificial look when he's not castled. If he's castled, maybe yes, it's a good move, but not now. I think we can just keep it simple. Could also start queen f3 if I wanna be giga flexible. Olympic gymnast kind of flexible. But I'm gonna go castle. It's not so typical. Yes, you play this h4 move and then you castle short, but I mean, I do have a simple edge. Okay, what does simple matter? I have lasting pressure in a position where there are no complications, no hanging pieces, no frets that you need to watch out for. I am just better in the long run because I have good against bad bishop, and I also have a strong square. My opponent doesn't. I have easy pawn play to play for. So this is what it matters, what it means when you say I have simple edge. So usually simple edge, no need to go crazy play, knight h5, stuff like that. So now queen f3, it's even better than before because I'll let you pause the video and find the potential problem for my opponent's unprotected rook. It's also same problem if he plays bishop b7. You may be tempted to think, oh, bishop b7 solves the problem. But bishop b7 would have the same characteristic as the rook, which is that it would be an unprotected piece. So, assuming you're a good student and pause the video, you spotted that in both cases, knight takes on c4 is a huge threat, because this guy is undefended. Okay, do I want just to simply punish blunder, go knight c4, or do I want to play more educational for you guys? Just go rook e1, f5. I'll just play it educational. I'm not even like gonna go for the low-hanging fruit. I want to put my educator hat on and go rook e1. Rook staring at this king. Like, waving a red flag to a bull. Perhaps f5 knocking at the door, perhaps knight f5 knocking at the door. So castling is probably mandatory at this point. Yes, so he will castle, and then how do we play it next? Also, opponent has somewhat of a strategic idea in mind. He wants to undermine the pawn chain at the base. It's just that it's always there. I still have knight c4. Should I play it? It feels like knight f5 even stronger, actually. Because pawn takes, now I have knight c4 with a discovery. Ah, so pretty. So how about this? I do knight f5, queen f8, and then I take. Yeah, I think that's even better. Yes, that's how we do it. Hope you guys spotted this move. Man of culture if you did. Knight f5, seizing the duel on the distance. Rook against enemy king. So that's why castling was mandatory. I'm actually annoyed that he didn't castle. It would have been an instructive game in that case. Okay, still, how do we convert? Probably play simple move, knight c4. Knight g6, interesting, but a bit too crazy. Knight takes on f7, king takes on f7. Maybe not so easy to make progress. So, knight c4, threatening to fork. Just a simple move. He might go knight e4. How do we play on that? I should have thought about this more, maybe, but perhaps rook e4. Yeah, maybe rook e4 indeed looks quite nice, but I have to double check. At least I have some time on the clock. I've recorded some games earlier today where I really ended up being in a terrible time scramble, but knight e4, I might even be able to play simple retreating move knight g3. I don't want to, but it's a possibility, like I have many options. So he goes rook a6 as a way of fighting against knight d6. He wants to take twice. Okay, then I'm not gonna play it, but what do I do? I have simple move, I imagine, just knight e5. He still cannot take on f5 because of knight g6, and after knight takes, I take with a pawn and I get access over d6. So I feel like it's time to play simple, also threatening some bishop a4. Very dangerous for my opponent. ef still cannot be done because I'm gonna win the queen with the discovery. Same problem. People really underestimate the importance of duel on the distance between pieces. So if it's against enemy king or enemy queen, can be just as deadly. Normally, best play, whenever you see such duel is happening, you just sidestep, just move the queen somewhere, or the higher value piece has to sidestep, has to acknowledge that there is danger. And okay, after the trade, I mean, just getting access to a square inside my opponent's half. Will I be in time to place my knight though? Maybe not. Maybe at least that. Because now if I take and then he takes with the pawn, I'm gonna be dealing with an unpleasant double attack. Although, how about queen e2 in that position, saying, take my knight, but I have queen b5 check. Taking advantage of the undefended bishop, because bishop c6 I take rook. So maybe just a simple play like this works. I mean, the position feels to be so overwhelmingly winning that I can probably go for very brutal plays as well, but just takes and queen e2. Yeah, I'm just gonna go for a simple play. Yes, take my knight. I have queen b5. This is why it's so important to have awareness to these unprotected pieces. So I see the desired move bishop takes on e4. I notice a problem. Then I just want to check last moment. Okay, the only way I could make this work is if I can take advantage of some unprotected pieces. Are there any? I look, I see undefended bishop. I look at the variation again and I say, okay, can I move my attacked queen and head towards undefended bishop? And then the move just comes naturally. Because in this position, I can go for so many queen moves, endless queen moves. But the one that I look at, the only one that makes sense is the one that's going for the undefended piece. So queen e2, I don't even look for alternatives because I'm going to be down a knight otherwise. And why opponent is really restricted right now, if I get my knight on d6, that's going to be an immortal knight. So it's going to be a knight in his half of the board. It's going to be protected by a pawn. He cannot use any of his pawns to kick out my knight. And usually such knights are even more valuable than a rook. That's just how strong they are. So opponent has to avoid the immortal knight, but then my queen will start doing things to his pieces. So I have this check. Now the king looks to be suffering. So perhaps he'll play rook c6. I take on b7, but yes, it doesn't look like he will be castling. So, okay, rook c6. I have free move, but pause the video. Can we go for better? That is the question. If you think you're smart and the answer is yes, after d5, congratulations, bozo, you missed queen c5. Nice resource that I've also missed myself initially. So I don't think we play d5. I think we just take. Keep it simple. Keep it very simple. Simple chess. Chess is easy. We complicate it. Okay. I have check. King goes to e7. How do I not mate with checks? Strange. Oh, can I just go d5? His rook is actually funnily running out of squares. And I'm gonna go for it. Rook takes on e5 is a bad move, but it's the most tempting one. And I'm gonna let you realize why rook takes on e5 is not working. For the same reason, the rook on e5 will be just as the bishop, an unprotected piece. I would have had queen b8 check using a little triangle motif and pick up the rook. Now rook g6, I should have forced mate many ways, but just gonna go for the easiest. Check and then d6. Force him to give up the rook. Everything happens with checks. I even have free queen trade if I want it. I'm gonna get... okay, so he goes there and now... 30 seconds, just a matter of doing the rest. But I will force a rook trade and... should be easy to pre-move even for old Alex Panzea. Should be easy win. Okay, pick up the pawn, promote, and then get him into the ladder mate. Should be the easiest. I'm just gonna put my rook on a protected square and then start pushing. Okay, get my king. Take these pawns and now we pre-move and we pre-move. Not that difficult. Not that difficult. So the game just wins itself. Now, thank you guys for making it all the way this far into the video. Now, I figured out it's a pretty good time that I give you an update on my upcoming chess projects and my future website, which will also explain why I haven't uploaded a video in almost a month. But I will get back to the weekly schedule at least. Let me explain. So, if you don't have patience, you can just pause and read the document on the screen. I am currently working on 3 projects, which are the Jobava course, the book on fundamentals, and I'm also directing my developers on my chess website. So, as you can see on the screen, the Jobava course is about 65% done, but it's currently on hold because it's not only an opening repertoire, but it also comes with other middle games chapters. And while I was working on one of these middle game chapters, I realized that before you guys study an opening course, we gotta take care of your fundamentals. And for this reason, I started writing a book on the fundamentals, but I'm writing it only based on possessions from the Jobava London. So I started doing that. I got to a point where the theoretical part of the fundamentals book was 70% completed. And then what is, in my opinion, the game changer is that you need fundamental exercises. Let me prove it. White to play. Pause the video. What would you do? The reason I'm bringing this up is because if you ask any chess master, I believe that in the exercises that I'm about to show, everyone will have the sort of same healthy reflex. And also give you the answer of this puzzle, Fabiano Caruana played the move knight to e2, which looks very odd. Why would on earth you move the knight when the bishop is undeveloped? Aren't you trying to develop pieces in the opening? Chess is a stupid game. It doesn't make sense. Alex Banzea explained. Well, the point is that with the last move, black was threatening to hit the base of white's pawn chain. So for this reason, Fabiano went knight e2, which is the most active square possible for the knight, and also preparing c3 so that the pawn chain gets connected and white keeps simple advantage. Now, the nice thing about such moves is that once you understand the concept, you can apply it everywhere on the board. So you can think of the chessboard as a cube made out of 4 smaller squares. So just to give you a very short example, very quick, I meant. Essentially what works in the green square applies on any other square on the board the same. So my task while finding exercises for the fundamental books is to identify these ideas and give you examples of all the possible situations on the board, therefore developing your instinct for healthy reflexes. So with the information that you already have, let's see if you can play like Fabiano. This time, black just played h6. Pause the video and try to find the best move. Keep in mind it's similar to the previous one. So the idea is that as long as you understand that black is threatening to go f5 and hit the base of your pawn chain, the move becomes very reflex. The move is also stockfish first recommendation. So these are not just like things that I personally feel like should be good. They will be what the computer recommends in the vast majority of cases. So Knight fd2, best move, same idea, f5, play f3. Keep healthy pawn chain, if f4, I can go bishop f2, and the situation stabilizes. Now, this obviously works the same with colors reversed, and there are about 120 ideas similar to this one. Little strategic combo that will be the best move without having to really think about it too much. Just to give you 2 more examples, and then we're gonna wrap up this video. White to play. Kovalenko is facing a5. What would you do? Pause and think about it. Now, I think for any experienced player, a very simple reflex comes to mind, which is to just go a3. And the point is, I'm preparing that no matter which pawn black is pushing, I will be sidestepping, keeping a safe king. So you play b4, I go a4. You go a4, I go b4. Here again, look at it with a computer, a3, by far the best move. Freezing the side, same idea. Put this little interaction anywhere else on the board, the concept will apply. We look at Spassky against Petrosian. White just played a4. Can you find the best move using the knowledge from the previous example? Of course you can. And you can find the move a6. Getting ready to sidestep, and congratulations. You have played also the best stockfish move. So what I'm trying to go with this is that what I've been doing the last month and why I haven't posted the video is just I was looking for such golden nuggets. And I've got to a point where after filtering, I have over 400 exercises. Pretty much 4 examples for 100 ideas. And I still have a bit of work to do. But it has been quite difficult to keep track of everything and overwhelming for my usual workflow. But we will be back with the weekly uploads also on YouTube. And I believe that the first book on the fundamentals should be ready and uploaded on my website in September this year. So September this year, you're gonna be able to go to this, my chess place, and this is from where you're gonna be able to access the exercises, the lessons. This is what, let's say it will look like. I believe it will change until, it will just change a bit by the aspect until we publish, but this is like a raw look. You will have video player in top left and lesson in the right, and many other features that currently my developers are working on. So yeah, this is the focus, and ideally by the end of this year, I will restart finishing the Jobava course. And then you will have solid fundamentals. So this book, forgot to mention, but is directed at players anywhere from 0 all the way up to 2000. You actually have no idea how many fundamental gaps I see of players below 2000 elo, which can be fixed easily. It may sound like this fundamental book is something super overwhelming, but trust me, it is something that you will be able to easily finish in the course of a month and pretty much have healthy chess reflexes, better than a lot of 2000 elo chess players. So yeah, I think that's pretty much keeping you guys up to date. And please let me know what you think of that in the comments. And I will be posting a video in the near future. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you around on the channel. Have a good one.